When you ask people what is the three biggest challenges that they face, the top three will always be unemployment, price rise, inflation, economic crisis. Voting choice is about the solution and not necessarily about the problem. Today, caste is an identity for competition. It is not a hierarchy any longer. Caste is today this way. It's not this way. The caste-based reservation is important, but it is not being done fairly.
PM Modi, I think he has never gone this far. In the recent one of his speech, he said he brought up the Hindu-Muslim issue and tried to polarize the elections. Is it a sign of nervousness?
The BJP is at its best when it is challenging an opponent. Sometimes minority consolidation has worked and sometimes majority consolidation has worked. I'm seeing it for the first time. A open and a subtle dissidence within the BJP.
One more noticeable trend from the last 10 years is of these political mercenaries. Say, what is your opinion on the idea of a guy like Prashant Kishore?
Now, I have been consistently arguing that 305 plus or 305 minus depends on two states, Maharashtra and West Bengal. Will the opposition to the BJP emerge from the BJP itself? What happens if a state trend impacts a nation?
Dr. Sandeep Shastri, welcome to our studio. We are so privileged to have you here.
My privilege.
Let's start with the questions. With all your experience in psephology and election analysis, and you have done a lot of surveys, getting to know the Indian voters' mindset. After all this experience, are you able to draw a picture of Indian voter mindset?
That's the most complex thing to do, because the Indian voter is multifaceted. The Indian voter is diverse. She has multiple perspectives. He has multiple worldviews. She has multiple aspirations. He has range of expectations. But the most important thing about this Indian voter is very, very robust in their understanding. This Indian voter is very, very clear about what she wants. The Indian voter is very, very strong in terms of his beliefs and perceptions. And the Indian voter, when it comes to an election, be it a national or a state or a local election, is very clear of the choices that they want to make. So I would bow my head down to that Indian voter and say that in every election at the end, these voters are the heroes of our election.
One thing bothers me a little, the person when he goes and presses the EVM button, what exactly goes in his mind? How does he arrive at a decision to vote for someone?
This is one of the biggest dilemmas which I, as a researcher on and student of Indian politics and elections, has faced. In the last 25 years, in all the surveys I have done, without exception, when you ask people what is the three biggest challenges that they face, the top three will always be unemployment, price rise, inflation, economic crisis.
Okay.
It will be these rotating to be the top.
Okay.
I have yet to see a survey which I have been part of where one of these four that I mentioned is not part of the top two.
Okay.
So therefore, we should assume that the economic condition is something that drives voting decisions, and it well may.
Okay.
But then when the voter takes a decision on an economic factor, let us say today there is a lot of talk about unemployment. I don't know whether it is unemployment and it is hope for a better job. See, it could be both.
Okay.
I could say unemployment is the biggest problem with the country because I believe I am doing a job which I could do something much better, than this.
Okay.
Now, when people say unemployment, when people say price rise, that things are much costlier today. Yes, a lot of us concede that that is a reality. What we could buy 5 years ago for, let us say, 1,000 rupees, today that 1,000 rupees will get us much less. There is no shadow of doubt about that. But when the voter makes a political choice on this issue, now, does he or she decide that a government in power is the best suited to solve the problem? Yes, they did not do enough to solve the problem, but are they the ones who will solve the problem? Or does the voter look at the other side, at the opposition, and say the opposition is more suited to solve the problem? Or when I look at the opposition, the ruling party is much better to solve the problem. So, yes, there is an economic distress. Yes, there is an economic challenge, but there is no automatic guarantee that it will translate itself into voting for X party or Y party, ruling party or opposition party. That again is a perception that the voter builds up. But going back, Shrikant, to your main question, when I stand in front of the EVM, looking at all those symbols and looking at all those names, and when I decide finally what to press, what is in the front of my mind?
Yes.
Is it these challenges which I think I face? Or at that point of time, do the challenges go to the background and do emotional issues come to the fore? And of course, you cannot have any fixed answer to this. For some, it may be the economic issues that come to the fore. For some, it could be their social experience which comes to the fore. To some, it could be a highly emotive issue as to a decision that a government has taken which comes to the fore. For some, it could be the faith and belief in a leadership which comes to the fore. But I'm increasingly coming to believe that emotions play a major role in deciding and defining who I vote for.
Okay. Sir, is it like while telling it out to the surveyors, they are telling that our job is like our pockets are pinching us, while voting, they will vote emotionally? Like, have you seen this trend?
No. Does the voter say one thing in surveys and does he or she go and do another thing when going and voting? That I would not concede. Now, how honest is the voter with you when you are interviewing them for a survey? Depends on how much you have been able to win their confidence.
Okay.
And it depends upon the environment. If they are standing with a lot of people and being interviewed, they will look around and say what they know everybody there would want them to say. So I think we have done a lot of research on this, and we have tried to convince our field investigators who are always students of social sciences, how do you actually try and get the answer which they actually want to give you at that point of time. Now, in our surveys, even those who say economic distress and social challenges, etc., was your condition 5 years better than, was your economic conditions 5 years earlier better or worse than today? You may say worse than what it was 5 years ago. But then, when you ask them the other question as to which we ask after a gap, who are you going to vote for in this election? It may well be the party which was in power. Or it could well be the opposition. So, again, how the voter connects the problem to the solution is very different.
Oh.
And voting choice is about the solution and not necessarily about the problem.
Okay. Sir, when it comes to voter mindset, is the Karnataka voters' mindset different from the rest of India's voters' mindset? Do you think so?
See, the attitude of a voter is determined by their life experience, the environment they live in, the experience they have had in that environment. And this would necessarily vary from state to state. And this would necessarily vary within a state also, within the different regions of a state, between urban and rural, between, if I were to talk about Karnataka, possibly between Kalyan Karnataka and Old Mysore, between Kittur Karnataka and Central Karnataka. There could be differences because the worldview of a voter is very often defined by their life experience.
Okay.
The worldview of a voter is defined by their life expectation. So, for me, in every state, the approach is very different. Let me share an example with you. My family once went on a holiday to a very remote location in India. Okay. We went to Ladakh on a holiday. And we drove down, and there was a point in the journey where we stopped to have a snack. And then I got talking to the shopkeeper. And the shopkeeper said, I keep my shop open only 6 months in a year. Because 6 months in a year, there is snow here, so nobody comes. So I have to make all my money in 6 months. I told him, this is a great fun life. And then I told him, you are so far away. And he turned around and replied to me without battling an eyelid, far away from where, sir? Then I realized for me, he is far away because there is a central point for me and he is far away from that central point. And this man says, I will not in my entire life go more than 5 kilometers away from where I am. You see, I get all my facilities here and I'm quite contented with my life. I don't want to go anywhere. Now, for that shopkeeper, what determines how she or he would vote? It's that life experience they have had in that 5 kilometer radius that they have lived in. So, I think the world we are exposed to, the experiences that we have, the social encounters we have, the economic realities we face, the cultural patterns we live in, to a certain extent, shapes our political attitudes also.
There is a lot of importance given to caste in Indian politics. Have you seen any trend that is shifting from caste to economic policies? Or
caste is an important identity. And I think today caste has very little to do with its historical antecedents, which could be linked to a certain extent to inequalities and even injustices in society. Today, caste is an identity for competition. It is not a hierarchy any longer.
Okay.
Caste is today this way. It's not this way. Today, castes are competing with each other on a common platform. And today, if political parties and leaders and candidates use caste as an identity, it's because that identity helps them move forward, gain a benefit, become a candidate as against a competitor who wants to become a candidate, seek votes as compared to the opponent who is fighting against you. I would hasten to add another point. Caste is a factor and not the factor.
Okay.
See, always decision making is made on the basis of a basket of factors.
Okay.
In that basket, caste is one factor. For some, it may be a more important factor. In some situations, it may be a more important factor. But then it is part of a basket of factors. Now, if you see the recent debates that are happening, there is one side that argues that caste is central, social justice is central to the whole debate in society.
Mm-hmm.
And you have an alternative narrative which says that by using caste, you are dividing society. We have even had our Prime Minister saying that there are only 4 castes.
Yes.
Women, youths, Dalits, and farmers. But remember, in these 4 groups also one is a caste. Dalits has a caste group, set of castes. Now, what I think the Prime Minister and his party is seeking to do is combine caste and class as an identity.
Okay.
It's not, I don't think there is any party in India which does not give credence to caste.
Okay.
Be it in choice of candidates, be it in deciding on strategy, on who to appeal to for votes. So, let's...
Even in urban areas, has it not changed, sir?
I don't think so. It's only that its intensity may be a little less, or, if I were to be cynical, its expression publicly is a little less.
Okay.
But remember what I said, it's not about old hierarchies. Today it is clearly about an identity that I believe in and I would like to employ to be able to gain a advantage over others in terms of what I am seeking.
Okay.
So, caste and class has always been a historical debate. But what the BJP today tries is to bring the two together and talk of it as a combination in at least electoral politics that we see in the country.
Okay. Sir, ideally people should be voting based on issues. You said caste has become a very horizontal identity now. Like, to take people to that ideal situation, like people should be voting based on issues. So, how do we bridge this gap?
I would concede your point that people should vote on issues. But when your caste identity results in a life experience and thus becomes an issue for you in life, the fact that you face injustice and atrocity because of either hidden or open, because of the caste identity that you have, but then that becomes an issue in terms of politics. Or when you believe that the caste-based reservation is important, but it is not being done fairly. You see?
Okay.
I accept reservation, but I believe those who are the groups which are getting it don't deserve it. And the groups which deserve it are not getting it. You see, then it becomes an issue. You are challenging an issue. So, in a sense, it's not caste per se which becomes an issue in politics, but caste as it expresses itself in an issue which confronts you in your daily life.
Okay.
Then it becomes an issue, you see.
Okay.
Remember the Prime Minister's response in Parliament when the opposition was talking about OBCs and the denial of appropriate positions to OBCs. He made a very strong statement. He looked at the opposition and said, You are saying my party does not give a representation to OBCs. What is it that you're seeing standing in front of you? Do you need more proof of representation of OBCs? So, caste is an issue in terms of representation in politics. I think we need to recognize the reality that this is a society where still this identity continues to be important and continues to be critical.
Okay. Sir, coming to another point, from when I've got a good, sensible mind, I have been following politics since 2006. So PM Modi, I think he has never gone this far. In the recent one of his speech, he said he brought up the Hindu-Muslim issue and tried to polarize the elections. Is it a sign of nervousness?
See, in the 2019 election, I still remember the victory speech that the Prime Minister made. He added a third term, Sabka Saath, Sabka
Vikas,
Sabka Vishwas. And I thought that Sabka Vishwas was a healing touch at the end of a very strongly fought election, which had raised a lot of emotional factors also. So as the Prime Minister, I saw that as a healing touch. Now, I would want to contextualize the whole bringing up of these sets of issues. There were two contexts to it, I think. When the first phase of elections was over, you saw a reduced voter turnout. Now, some believed that the slogan which the BJP had used in the election of 370 and 400 par made a lot of people feel that anyway the BJP is coming to power this time. And there was a feeling that the cadres and workers had taken it a little lightly because anyway we are coming to power. Some would argue that what the Prime Minister first said in Rajasthan was like a shake and wake up call for the party cadres and supporters, and in a way trying to tell them that, look, you need to come out in full numbers and be part of the election process. Secondly, I've always believed that the BJP is at its best when it is challenging an opponent.
Okay.
You see, the best in the BJP often comes out when it is attacking its opponent. And then you had the release of the Congress manifesto. And the BJP saw an opportunity to launch that aggression against its opponent by taking on its manifesto. And as part of that taking on that manifesto, all these issues came to the fore. So, is it a byproduct of the necessities which parties and leaders face in order to ensure victory in an election, especially when an election appears to be getting a tight election? So I would see that as a step in that direction. I remember a very well-known BJP leader saying that there are multiple facets to the Prime Minister.
Okay.
And when elections come, the facet of being the major spokesperson of the BJP then becomes prominent.
Okay.
So his argument is that the statements he makes as part of a campaign represent that aggression which needs to be shown by a leader of a party, by someone who is seen as the one who will take the entire party along. And then when he goes on to his other roles of heading a government and all that, you have a different set of statements coming out. So
Okay.
I would say it's a combination of these factors which you see.
Rejoinder to this question is, why has Hindu-Muslim narrative become a low-hanging fruit? Whenever you need something to motivate the voters to come and vote for you, people, both Congress and BJP, they'll try to polarize the voter base on the religious lines. So,
See, in an intensely fought election and in a largely and increasingly polarized society, you see, and as I said, going back to an increasingly intense battle, you are then looking for what would give you at that moment, for the next 1 week or the next 2 weeks till the vote is cast, what is it that will give you the advantage at that point of time?
okay.
Sometimes minority consolidation has worked, and sometimes majority consolidation has worked. Sometimes majority consolidation has led to a counter minority consolidation, and sometimes a minority consolidation has led to a counter majority consolidation.
Okay.
In Assam, when you had an election last time in the assembly, you had a minority consolidation happening, which in a way helped the BJP to be able to retain power in Assam.
Okay.
On the other hand, when you went to Bihar, a majority consolidation led to a minority consolidation, which then led to the RJD-JDU alliance coming to power.
Okay.
The counter minority consolidation that happened resulted in the victory of the RJD and the JDU. So we are seeing both these trends happening.
Okay.
Now, this is a trend which some would say is a desperate last-minute attempt made by different parties to be able to garner votes at that moment of desperation when you see the contest is very tough, and then you want to use means which will put you at an advantage in that election.
Okay. Sir, do you feel PM Modi's popularity has come down since 2014?
The final answer to this question will be known only on 4th of June. But let me say this. In 2014, when we did our survey after the election, 1/4 of those who voted for the BJP said, we would not have voted for the BJP if not for Mr. Modi being the prime ministerial candidate of the BJP. You come to 2019, that percentage has gone up to 31% or nearly 1/3.
Okay.
That 1/3 of the BJP voters said that if not for Mr. Modi, we would not have voted for the BJP. Now, I will be waiting on the 1st of June when our post-poll survey starts or completes, first, second, third. I'll be waiting for what does the response to that question look like this time. Now, if I were to go by how the campaign has gone, And if I were to go by the run-up to the campaign, the NDA has clearly made this an election with Prime Minister Modi as the only visible face of the party. The entire campaign across the country has been run under his name. I think all the NDA candidates in their respective constituencies said, I am not the candidate. But I am here to ensure one more seat to the NDA so that Mr. Modi can become a Prime Minister for a third time. This was a key campaign statement of most of the candidates of the NDA.
Yes.
So, going by that, it's clear that for the BJP, the Prime Minister was the clear face. For quite some time, we had been talking of the government as Modi Sarkar and not BJP Sarkar. And then during the run-up to the campaign, the Prime Minister openly talked about, I give you, he told the voters, I give you the Modi guarantee.
Yes.
See, he spoke of the Modi guarantee. Now, is there a need for a better example to show how the BJP saw him as the centerpiece of their campaign? It was also a very convenient approach because then you could camouflage challenges which were possibly going to be there by saying, no, this is a election to vote Mr. Modi for a third term. And one of those big challenges this time, I think, was, I'm seeing it for the first time, a open and a subtle dissidence within the BJP.
Okay.
I have not seen this so openly in previous elections as I have seen it in this election. And making this a Modi for third term election by the BJP, I think was a way of trying to deal with this strong undercurrent that has been there.
Okay.
How much has it worked? We will know on 4th of June. And there is another factor there. While the BJP went with this narrative, wherever the non-BJP, non-NDA parties were in power, they tried to make the election a local election.
Okay.
Because they were in power in the state, so they said, no, look at the state. You need to elect an MP from our party so that our interests are protected in Delhi. So that was a counter narrative that came up. And I think 4th of June will tell you which of these two narratives in which place was much stronger. Okay. But clearly, the BJP campaign and the BJP's focus and the nucleus of the BJP and NDA's campaign was the persona and the image and what they would like to call the charisma of the Prime Minister.
Okay, sir. Sir, you spoke about a thing called guarantee, which the Congress used to come to power in Karnataka a year ago. So when it comes to freebies, using freebies to gain a quick buck in election, what is your opinion on this?
See, what do I define as a freebie? What do I define as a necessity? What do I define as they say in the North India as a Kalyan Karyakram? I think this is a very complex issue. Given the fact that a large segment of our society is still dependent on the state. See, even after economic liberalization, for many of us, the state is a facilitator. See, But still, for many of us in this country, the state is a provider and not a facilitator. There is this dependence on the state for the basic necessities of life. In the north, what you call labharthis, a term which BJP has popularized, labharthi. Now, labharthi means somebody who benefits from the policies of the state. It may be about a subsidized ration. It may be about subsidized travel. It may be about waiver of certain loans for agriculture. It may be direct to account transfers. Now, whichever it is. Now, I think the question that needs to be asked is, and this is what the economists should do, the question that needs to be asked is, are these benefits, can we distinguish between benefits which are necessary for the minimal standards of life which people need to lead? And do we segregate the beneficiaries in terms of who can manage and who can't manage? You see? Free bus travel. Now, many women's groups have very rightly said that this is a form of women's empowerment. And you would not call it a waste of resources, because those who use this are able to, because of using this free facility, able to gain various types of other economic resources, like maybe a job or maybe other benefits because of the possibility of travel. Also, the question that, are some of these concessions going to those who do not deserve it?
Okay.
Are they going to families who can otherwise afford it but now are taking the benefit? Are benefits like an unemployment dole going to people who are actually working but declaring themselves unemployed to get the dole? You see? Is there pilferage happening in the program?
Okay.
Is my question. Now, that is an issue. And does that promise actually get paid out at the local level? And our voter is very clever. The voter will not go by the assurance you have made about a benefit. The voter will see whether that benefit has actually reached me on the ground. There have been governments which have been defeated because they made promises but did not implement them. And there have been governments which made promises, they implemented them faithfully, and then got the benefit of that in the next elections.
Okay.
So yes, I don't think we can have a very generic response to economic benefits that people are being given. I think we will need to make a distinction between those given to people who require it as a minimum for being able to live a particular minimum standard of life. And is it going to those who do not need it, or is it going to the wrong people where it needs to be filtered out? So I think it's much more a question of the rigor and transparency you follow in its implementation in terms of who should get the benefit.
Okay.
If I could take a side argument, much of the objection to OBC reservations of certain groups is not against OBC reservation per se, but their belief that who are categorized as OBCs do not deserve to be OBCs, and those who actually are backward are not classified as OBCs.
Okay.
So people are pointing out, look, I know of X or Y who does not require this benefit, but then is using that benefit. And I know A and B who actually deserve that benefit but are not getting that benefit. So it's not so much against reservation per se, but it is against how that reservation policy is being implemented. I would say the same about these guarantees. The success or otherwise of these guarantees will depend on, is it reaching the beneficiary it should reach? Is it being implemented in a proper way? Will decide and define its use and its necessity.
Sir, announcement of freebies during elections, will it entirely take an election away from the from one single party? Like, have you noticed such trends?
No. Once the model code of conduct comes in, a government in power cannot bring in any such welfare schemes. You can make a reference to it in your election manifesto and say, like parties have done, that if voted to power, we will implement these things. That's what the Congress is saying in Karnataka, that we implemented all this, and now it has become part of their manifesto nationally. Now, does it influence people? My answer to that would depend upon how did people perceive that party's implementing welfare schemes in the past. What is the level of trust the people have in that party for its performance in the past? I can cite examples of where it has helped the past image of a party as a party which has been effective and successful in implementing these schemes, has got the benefit of that. And I also can give examples of states where a party promised a range of things in its manifestos, but the people said, when they were in power, they never did all of this. Where will they do all of this now as part of their manifesto? So ultimately, people judge on basis of implementation that happens at the ground.
Sir, one more noticeable trend from the last 10 years is of these political mercenaries. Say, what is your opinion on the idea of a guy like Prashant Kishore, like who manages end-to-end campaign of a political party, which earlier used to be done by the leaders and karyakartas. Now it is as though whoever is good at marketing might win the election.
Election management for a party has become such a complex process today because of so many factors that many a time parties feel it is necessary to be able to take professional help, either to strategize their election or to market the party and its leadership. So this has been a trend seen for quite some time now. And I think all political parties across the board have done that. They have hired people to do this. It's only that in the past, people hired were more incognito. You didn't know them by their name and face. But believe me, right from the 1970s, there have been people who have been advisors behind the scene to political parties with regard to their strategy. And I mean, big advertisement companies have been hired by political parties to design their campaigns. So that's something which we have seen in the past. But I think after a 24/7 media has come up, and after social media has emerged the way it has, these things have now, it's become difficult to keep them behind the scenes. They have become much more visible, partly because of media, partly because those who lead that would like it to be visible.
Okay.
And they come to the front and are active in campaigns. But it's also important to concede the point that many of them have got it bang right, and many of them have got it horribly wrong. So, I mean, the same people have got one bang right and the other horribly wrong. So,
Okay.
so in a sense, that is also a test of credibility of what they do. Or is it a test of the desperation of parties that, if not anything else, let me hire this political strategist who can possibly help me turn around this election. Now, where does the challenge come? The challenge comes when the political strategist does not confine himself or herself to being a political strategist, but also embarks into an role or an attempt for a role in politics.
Okay.
When a political strategist who has been advising parties decides that I will join a party, become a member of a party, and then when you don't get what you get, come out of the party, go and join somewhere else, come out of that. Or maybe even form a political formulation of your own. Then I think it becomes difficult to say whether that person is a political strategist or a politician. Now, I know of strategists who have limited themselves to only being strategists with no active, direct involvement in electoral politics. Now,
Okay.
that may be okay. But then as a strategist moving into politics, moving out of politics, now that raises a question of your autonomy as a political strategist for a party. I'm not talking about, I have to defend people like myself. I'm not talking of academicians
Okay.
who study elections and strategize on elections to be able to understand what's going on. I got the best compliment from one of my students 3 months back when she said she read one of my articles and found it very well written. I said, thank you. And then she said, sir, I have only one problem as I read your article. I said, what's the problem? She said, at the end of the article, I could not decide whether you support this party or that party. I said, thank God you couldn't find out. Or thank God you couldn't decide. Because then my job is done. Then I am being faithful to my role as a data analyst who is looking at data and drawing a conclusion. And not first drawing a conclusion and then searching for data to justify that conclusion.
Okay. Okay. Sir, are you, like you must have been following, there was a trend in this election where at some point of time, Prashant Kishore became the main point of discourse. Do people still believe he has the right numbers or he can predict the right numbers? Or why was it like he almost had a stint of 18 or 20 interviews to various channels? So, do you have anything to say about this trend? I felt it's very unusual.
The individual who gave those many interviews, I would like to raise the question, why did the media pursue that? You see? Again, I go back to my 24/7 media and the social media. Now, has that played a role in developing an excitement on this issue? See, because of TRPs and because of what now everything becomes breaking news, does that influence? Now, and as an individual, as a political analyst or as a political strategist, you have a choice to express your view as a strategist, as a voter, as a citizen. And if media wants to welcome you 100 times, would you blame the one who comes 100 times or would you blame the one who calls them 100 times? Now, that's the question.
Okay. Because there was one thing common that he was telling was that BJP on one hand, it was saying that it will cross 370, ab ki baar 400 par, and Prashant Kishore came out openly saying that no, it might be better than last time, but definitely 370 and 400 is too far-sighted. Like, so did media play out a role to bring down the perception that BJP is planting?
You see, again, I will not go into whether someone or something was planted or not. But
no, I mean,
if I look at it as it unfolds, you had at the start of the campaign the talk of 400 par and 370. Those two were magical figures that was talked about. And after the first round of the polling, up till I think the fourth round end, I think. Until then, you didn't talk about that much. You didn't hear that much in the electoral chatter. And then you had various projections being made on, is it 370 plus? Is it 305 plus? Is it 272 plus? Is it less than? And all these discussions started. It's amidst all that discussion, Prashant Kishore comes up with his numbers and his interviews. Basically, I think he made 3 points. First, the fact that the BJP will be where it is or a little higher. The fact that the opposition is to blame. The opposition is to blame for what will happen. He gave that famous example that you may score a century without giving a single chance for anybody to take your wicket. Or you may score a century with 3, 4, 5 dropped catches. And he alluded in his interview to the BJP victory is like scoring a century with multiple dropped catches.
Okay.
And the multiple dropped catches means the opposition lost opportunities which they had along the way. And finally, he makes the point that, yes, you will have the BJP coming back to power, but you will have a weakened Prime Minister.
Okay.
Now, in all that he said, if I take out the 3 most critical points, for me, these are the 3 most critical points. The first 2 points, which, of course, the BJP will lap up and be very happy about. The third point, I'm not too sure whether the BJP would find that favorable. The opposition will cling on to that third point. And the opposition would criticize him for the second point that he's making. Now, as a colleague of mine said, when this election started, the debate was on whether BJP will cross 370 or whether the opposition can pull them down from 270. Opposition was not talking about winning the election, but talking about pulling
BJP
the
down.
BJP down from reaching 370, as if not reaching 370 was a victory for the opposition. You see? Remember, even in the opposition alliance, it's only after the second, third phase of voting, leaders have been talking about if they're talking about when they come to power, or they have been talking about the possibilities of the opposition alliance coming to power. I didn't hear too much of that before the first round of voting.
Okay.
The debate then was, will they touch 370? Will they not touch 370? We will not allow them to touch 370. See, now, that was the type of debate that was going on. So you saw subtle changes in the debate going on. And very clearly for me, this election started off as what people said, no interest election, because we all know who is going to win. And as the election proceeded, you said, no, there is a fight on the hands. There seems to be no wave. But as I put it, there may be no wave, but there is a wind across certain states. Some states a stronger wind, some states a little weaker wind, but wind is definitely there. And somebody asked me then, now, what about can the silent voter make a difference? I said, yes. But neither you nor I know the silent voter, because the silent voter is silent, which we will know only on the 4th of June, whether the silent voter has made a difference.
Okay. Sir, you spoke about the wind. There is an entire part in India, the eastern and the southern part, from Bengal to Kerala, passing Odisha, Tamil Nadu and stuff. BJP has not been able to penetrate to a greater extent in this part of the country. What is your opinion? Why is this happening? With the popularity of Prime Minister.
Over the last 2 elections, you have seen the BJP manage a 90% and in some cases 100% strike rate in North India, West India and Central India, or what we speak of as the Hindi-speaking heartland of the country. Now, they have been able to consistently do that across 2 elections. And this time the debate is, can they repeat that for a 3rd time? There are some who believe there will be deficits in some states. And BJP supporters are arguing those deficits will be made up by other states of the north. So, net it will be the same like last time is what. That's why people say it will be around 305. If they are not able to make up that, then you say a little below 305. South. Last time the NDA got 30 of the 130 seats in the south. 29 to BJP and 1 to at the DMK. Now, and which is a strike rate of around 22%. Now, that's why this election, there was so much focus on South India. By the Prime Minister, by the other BJP leaders, the effort on the South. Because they realize that, to get to the numbers they are talking about, South has a crucial role to play. Now, Telangana is a state where the BJP hopes they would do better than last time. But they are in a tough contest with the Congress there. In Karnataka, it was a very, very difficult call for them. Because you won 25 seats last time, you contested only 25 seats this time. So there is a view that there may be a slight shortfall in Karnataka, which they hope will be made up in Telangana.
Okay.
In Andhra, because of the alliance has a good chance and the BJP could well win a few seats. In Kerala and Tamil Nadu, their vote share will definitely go up. But will it equally see a similar increase in seat share? I have problems for that. I believe that BJP will open its account in Tamil Nadu, maybe get a few seats. Its alliance partners may get a few seats. And if the fall in Karnataka is not too big, then Andhra, Tamil Nadu, I don't think Kerala is still ready for sending a BJP MP.
Okay.
But in these other two seats, then whatever they get would be a surplus and could add to that 305 plus. It all depends on how they perform in BJP, in Karnataka. If it's a slight damage, then Telangana could compensate. If it's a big damage, then all those southern seats may be needed to break even with last time's figure. This now leaves us with the East and also with two other states, Maharashtra and Bihar. Now, I have been consistently arguing that 305 plus or 305 minus depends on two states, Maharashtra and West Bengal. Maharashtra, because you have only two tested parties there, BJP and the Congress. The other four major parties are not tested in elections. Who is the legitimate Shiv Sena, who is the legitimate NCP will be got to know in this election. And reports state that there is a sympathy wave in favor of Uddhav and Sharad Pawar.
Okay.
And the allies of the BJP may not be doing very well. But what about BJP itself? They are contesting more seats than last time. So if the BJP holds on its own, then BJP will not be adversely affected. But there are several seats where BJP is fighting against Uddhav Shiv Sena and Sharad Pawar NCP. What will happen there? Will the allies of the BJP also pull down the BJP a bit? That will decide 303 plus or 303 minus.
Okay.
And finally, West Bengal. West Bengal, the BJP is making an all-out effort there. If they do really well in West Bengal, then 305 plus will be a fact. But ground reports seem to suggest it looks to be a status quo or maybe a few seats more. But no dramatic turnaround is what ground reports seem to say. So that's why I keep arguing 303 plus 10 minus 10 is where it seems to be moving towards, depending on this constellation of forces you have across the country.
Okay. Sir, coming to this question of Congress has always been a very significant party from independence. There is a constant decline of the Congress party from 2014. What do you think are the primary reasons for it?
1989 ended the phase of one-party domination.
Okay.
And you had a series of coalitions and minority governments coming in which the Congress may have been a player. 2014 saw the second decline in the Congress. 1989 saw the first, 2014 saw the second, where the Congress was reduced to a number of seats which was the lowest it had ever had. And from that stunning defeat, they have not been able to make a recovery. They have won states here and there in state assembly elections. But in a national election, they have found it difficult to come firm again. I think we generally say there are three types of competitions in a Lok Sabha election. Direct contests between the Congress and the BJP in many of the states of North India. In that competition since 2014, the BJP has been improving its position. Then you have the contest between the NDA and the opposition alliance, where the consolidation is much less than the first type of contest. But then there is also a consolidation, this time a competition, in wherever it is NDA versus the opposition alliance. The third type of contest is the most important this time, which is the multi-cornered contests, where there are three or more than three players in the contest. Here I see the most intense of competitions happening.
Okay.
This could be Uttar Pradesh, this could be Telangana, this could be Tamil Nadu, this could be West Bengal, where you see three forces at least in the race. Now, these are the real big battles that are being fought. And what's happened to the Congress is that, save in 4 states, Punjab, Himachal, Karnataka and Telangana, except these 4 states, the Congress is not now in power on its own. In other states, it is a junior partner in an alliance. So this to a certain extent has weakened the Congress.
Okay.
This inability to strongly challenge the BJP in direct fights is what has led to weakening of the Congress.
These direct fights are
Direct fight with the BJP. In states where BJP and Congress are in direct competition.
Okay.
The upper hand seems to have been taken by the BJP in such fights. And that has to a certain extent weakened the Congress party. And as a result, the opposition to the BJP comes from 2 types of forces. One is the Congress, and the other is the strong state-based parties. State-based parties which are opposed to the BJP. These are the 2 clusters of opposition to the BJP. Now, I'm not one of those who believes that post this election, you will have a weakened opposition. I am one of those who believes that one of the strengths of Indian democracy is the fact that even if a party is down and out, it has the chance of rising. And let's also remember, in the past also in India, the opposition to the Congress came from within the Congress. India's first non-Congress Prime Minister, Morarji Desai, was Deputy Prime Minister in a Congress government and then moved out. And so, given the type of internal dynamics that you are having in the BJP today, long down the line, I'm not talking of immediately, long down the line, will the opposition to the BJP emerge from the BJP itself?
Okay.
The dynamics of politics can never really predict what happens, but I'm one of those who believes that the strength of Indian democracy is its resilience and the capacity of political actors to bounce back.
Okay. Sir, for revival, does Congress, what do they need to do, sir? Like, main parts?
They would need to revitalize the party from the base. They would need to give priority to mass base leaders at the state level and allow them to take the initiative in the campaigns. And I think they would also need to have a searching look at what type of national leadership is the party looking at in the long-term future. Is it looking at a leadership which is from outside the family that has led the party for so many years? Or does it still believe that that family is important for them for the future? In this changing dynamic of India, I think this is important. Let's remember, 65% of India's population is below 35 years of age.
Okay.
And below 35 years of age means this is a population which has been socialized after 1990.
Okay.
So this is the population which has not seen the days of Congress domination. This is a population which has seen the days of BJP domination.
Okay.
So we have a totally different demographic now emerging in India. And to respond to this changing demographic, it may be necessary for the Congress to recalibrate its strategy on various issues, including leadership.
Sir, coming to the question of future of the Indian democracy, there is this concept of one nation, one election that the Prime Minister wants to introduce. Do you think it is feasible? Like hardly.
You see, in terms of administration, in terms of cost, in terms of managerial efficiency and all that, this looks to be a ideal idea. You have elections once in 5 years, forget about it after that. Next 5 years. Now, if you look at empirical evidence in India, whenever you have had simultaneous elections, Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha, simultaneous elections, voters have never dramatically voted for opposite parties in the two elections. There may be a slight higher voting for one party and lower voting for the other, but no X party gets a majority in Lok Sabha election, Y party gets a majority in assembly election. To the best of my knowledge, in a simultaneous poll, this has not happened in India. Now, when polls are held at 3 weeks or 1 month or 2 months or 3 months different, there are several examples of that. People voting for one party in Lok Sabha, people voting for one party in assembly. Given this, when the trajectories of the two elections are different, should we have a common election? Now, many of those who were supporting one nation, one leader were saying, we were hoping that a national trend will impact a state trend. But now some of them are asking me, what happens if a state trend impacts a national trend? What happens if a state trend impacts a national trend? So a lot of people have been telling me, and I have also written this, maybe we should talk about one nation, two elections. You have the Lok Sabha election in 1 year, and in the third year from there, you have the Vidhan Sabha and local body elections. And then 5th year, again the Lok Sabha election, and then the 8th year, the Vidhan Sabha. In a span, you will not have this festival of elections all the time, which we now see in India. You will have it twice in 5 years. That is also in some senses respecting federal democracy. And you are respecting two verdicts. And you are giving the voter 2 chances in 5 years to come out and vote. Many people say India is an election-only democracy. So do you want to confine that to once in 5 years? Now, maybe it's a good idea to get the voter out twice. Once in the Lok Sabha and once in the Vidhan Sabha and local body elections. So that's the stand I take. And bring in the German system of constructive vote of no confidence, where once a government is voted in, it cannot be voted out unless you choose an alternative. Okay. And therefore, the 5-year term of the House is fixed. Be it Lok Sabha, be it Assembly.
Okay. Sure. Last question. People are a little afraid that if BJP gets a lot of power, say more come in the coming elections and all, we might not have elections in the future or something like that. You have seen Indira Gandhi, you have seen Modi, both are powerful leaders. Is it possible, like, is...
No, I would not, I'm much more optimistic in how I would look at this situation. I was about to say I'm much more positive, but then I realized what positive meant in Corona. So I'm much more optimistic about the future. I think this democracy is strong enough, powerful enough, and I would bow down to this voter of India who has that immense sense of earthly wisdom to be able to ensure that democracy continues to survive in this country.
Okay.
Most of us felt when I was a student in those days who saw a school student who saw Indira Gandhi declare the emergency and what happened then. And as somebody who completed school and was waiting for my college to start, I had campaigned very actively in the 1977 election as a young 17-year-old. And I was delighted when I saw one wicket after the other falling when the election commission, those days no TV, it was all sitting in front of election commission and watching the announcement of the results.
Okay.
And the biggest applause was for the two biggest defeats, Indira Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi. I'll never forget that moment. And that day, I remember seniors telling me that here is what democracy teaches you. People who are seen as indefeatable are themselves defeated in their constituencies. So I have that abiding faith in the wisdom of the Indian voter to ensure that every party is held accountable.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, you need to go back to that voter, and that voter will evaluate your progress, and the voter will evaluate your performance. So I would not support the argument that this country will not have a vibrant democratic framework. We will. And the voter of India will defend that.
Sir, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. It was a very enlightening session. Probably we will have another session after the results are out and probably analyze the results. I once again thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you. Been wonderful talking to you.
Thank you, sir.